Well, we have a combat survival knife crossover today that as soon as I saw hit the market, I was super stoked. I remember waiting for this to come out. I finally got my hands on it. The Benchmade Arvensis, model number, I believe, 119. And they have a lot of different versions. And really what connected with me and why I wanted to test out this knife is because it's kind of a crossover between an old school K-bar military marine fighting knife and a classic survival knife like this SE6 that my buddy Brian let me borrow for this shot. So that was kind of my idea, is that this Benchmade is a crossover between the two. Because I see a lot of those cross hybrid features. You know, you have huge amount of belly, nice thick full tank construction all the way through, and a finger choil for more of like a survival knife, midweight survival knife style. But then we have bottom and top guards for more of like a combat grip, and you have a really big clip here. So, you know, it has that kind of both worlds feature. And so that's what I was hoping for, is, man, is this crossover design? We're gonna discuss that today. Is this a great crossover, or are there some design features that hold it back? Is it better just to go with a true survival knife or a true combat utility knife? We'll discuss that, and discuss one of the features that really just stuck in my craw and just really, you know, got me frustrated and didn't make it as capable as the knife could have been with some simple redesigning. So we'll discuss all that today and look at the ins and outs and really thrash on this Benchmade. So with that, let's get to it. So let's discuss this blade here real quick. What we're looking at is 154 cm steel, which is a good steel. I've had a lot of experience with it, and I've had a lot of experience with Benchmade, and Benchmade's been using this steel for a long time. They got it dialed in. It's an upgrade over like AUS 8, you know, and that type of thing for a stainless option and really rust resistant. It's not a super steel in today's market, but it's better than a lot of stainless steels out there. And we're looking at a total thickness on this full tang of 0.19, so a good thickness. You know, this is going to be a very solid blade with that nice clip. It's a wide clip, you know, so it's not really sharp up here, but it does give you that really good strength into that tip, that huge amount of belly into that saber grind. And we are looking at, from the handle to the tip, we're looking at 6.5 inches, so you're looking at about 5.5 inches actual cutting edge. And they do have a serrated version as well. I went plain edge because I always find a well-maintained plain edge will cut just about every material on earth, and I like that for all my work over serrated versions. So when it comes to, you know, the tasks that you would expect, batoning, splits great because of that saber grind. The clip doesn't really affect your batoning stick too much, so it will process medium-sized wood without any sort of issue, and the saber grind splits better than full flat grinds. Now, even though it's a pretty thick blade and it has a saber grind, they've ground the blade in very nicely, so I got really good fine cutting done with woods processing. Shave that stuff off. Holy crapola. So, you know, feather sticks, notches, you know, that type of stuff, for how big and stout the blade is, it does really well. Sure, it's not, you know, like a more heavy-duty companion, but for a survival knife and what you would expect it to do, does great with all of your survival tasks when it comes to wood processing, as well as nylon rope and cordage and all the things that maybe if you're using this more as a military knife. Seat belt. Nice. Double run a seatbelt. Sweet. Several strands of paracord. You want it to be able to go through those more man-made materials very easily, and it does that as well and holds an edge while it does all of that. The tip is really nice and strong. You're gonna get some good prying with that because of the saber grind and because of the clip. So you're gonna get good stabbing and penetration if you are using this again as like a heavy duty combat knife, but also, you know, for popping open crates, that type of stuff, breaking up wood. It's got the strength and capability. You're not gonna be too concerned about doing your, you know, prying and stabbing tasks with the knife. Finally, hacking and chopping. Now, obviously at about 11.5 to 12 ounces, this knife is not a chopper by any means, but for delimbing or light chopping, the blade itself bites into the wood and removes wood really nice and easy. It eats like crazy with that. So I was pleased with the amount per swing of chunks coming out and the biting in into material, wooden material, for your hacking and chopping tasks that you may want to put this knife through. Now we're going to discuss the handle. There are some pros and there are some cons. So the handle material that we are looking at here is a G10, machine G10. That's rather smooth. There's not a lot of traction on it. And it's been polished, good round angles. It's not blocky or feels uncomfortable when you're gripping it. You are gonna have the tang slightly exposed above the handle scales. I don't notice it in any of my cutting tasks, but that is something for some of you to note. And then it has these hollow tubes that are pinned in. It's a pro and a con, you know, I mean, yeah, it lightens up the handle a little bit, but you can never remove the handle scales if you wanted to clean the knife, if you were in a lot of salt water or something like that, or if you were ever to damage the knife in some way, you can't just unscrew the handle scale. So, you know, pro and con there, but you do get, again, that full tang. You know, it's not an enclosed tang with the handle scales themselves. Now, I wear large size gloves, as you guys know, and I share that with you so that you guys have good perspective. If you have extra large size hands or small hands, you can determine proportionately the knife. And you can see there, I got plenty of room, about 1.5 inches on the back pommel back there. So I got plenty of room to spare back up if I need to. So I really like that aspect as well. And then we have a really nice designated finger choil that really allows me to choke up on the blade, get those finer cuts. Feels very comfortable. I was concerned about the top guard, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that, you know, how does that top guard affect the cutting aspect and using that choil? Doesn't affect me at all. I just grab it like that. It doesn't bite in, doesn't cause any hot spots, no issues. I can put my thumb right there and just get a lot of really good control. And that helps with the scallops that they've put right here on either side. Just kind of gives it a really natural grip when you are choking up and using the finger choil. Now, the guard itself, I think, is really designed well to really keep you locked in for more stabbing, more tactical tasks that you may be using the knife in either a hammer grip, you know, and you're doing that, or in a reverse grip and you're doing that. Bam, you are really locked into place and you're not going to worry about coming up on the blade itself. Now, this is the big part of the blade that sucks, and I'm really disappointed. Now, some of you don't chop with knives, and that's totally fine, and this is the one hang up that I have. If I'm going to use this, as we've discussed in the intro, as this kind of crossover blade, I've got to, if need be, chop with this, do hacking, do delimbing, and that type of a thing. Now, this bird beak kind of setup back here that you would know from like Becker's and a lot of Ontario knives and their SP line have this. Not a problem at all. It doesn't bite into my hand, doesn't cause any hot spots or any issues. The problem is this extremely sharp, aggressive jimping on the back pommel. It literally eats into my hand, and it is so painful. Even with gloves on, you feel it, and then barehanded, game over. I hate chopping with this knife in any way, shape, or form.
Not doing bad. Just tearing your hand up, though.
My hand is like on fire.
Here, show your hand, Aaron. We can video it.
It's just destroying my hand all up in here. If I try and grab here, I'm going to slip off, and then it just eats my pinky and the small of my hand in there. My hand is on fire right now.
Come on, Benchmade. We expect better from you.
Man, it sucks. Ow! Oh, that sucks. There. Woo! Would not want to chop with that. Ow. It's really unchoppable in my mind. And either if you are going to buy this knife and you do want to chop, you're going to have to grind these down basically. From all of my experience, it is not pleasant to do any sort of hacking. That's the one drawback to the handle. I think everything else about the handle for combat tasks or just cutting in general, no problem. The guard works great and you can do a lot of wood processing or a lot of combat utility tasks with the handle. But this aspect right here, if they just made a smooth pommel back there, no problem. I could have been able to hack all day and do some light chopping if need be and really make this a crossover survival combat knife. But in my mind, it's just not capable in that arena because of the jimping. The overall sheath is awesome on this blade. We have a polymer sheath, lots of lashing points all the way through, and then you are going to get a MOLLE lock tab down here, and it does come with a MOLLE lock tab, which is sweet. So you could absolutely lock this in on a shoulder or an LBE system like that, have it vertical. Then what we have here is a nice rubberized button snap that is on either side, so it's going to be ambidextrous because you can take the belt attachment and move it to the other side. So righties, lefties, you're going to love it. Snaps undone. You don't even have to use that snap if you don't want to. There's great retention right here. Pull the blade out, click it back into place without the button snap, no rattle, and it's not coming out. The one thing I would note, that the actual attachment back here is not my favorite. I think it's called like the American Outdoorsman product. These used to come on SOG knives a lot. You have to squeeze these little tabs right here. It kind of gives you a little door. You run your belt through, you click it on. It's much better just to use a Blade Tech lock. It's just not quite as durable in my mind and is not necessarily ideal. But for everything else that I'm getting with the sheath, it's doable. And if I really want to, I can, jerry rig something with a Blade Tech lock if I want to. And it does give you a rather low ride, so the knife handle isn't digging up into your ribs. So overall, guys, I mean, a fantastic sheath. For the price point, you're getting a great sheath and really no need to upgrade. And you can kind of tweak the belt attachment if you want to, but that's totally up to you. All right, price point on this Benchmade. Now, Benchmade has a very tight margin of error, so basically everywhere you go, you're gonna see the same prices. For this blacked out bladed version, you're gonna look at $182 just about everywhere you go. And then you can get the stonewash finish for about $170. And they do have plain edge as well as serrated. Obviously I went with plain edge for everything that we've discussed today. So that's the going rate. I will have links over to Amazon so you can look at all the different models that they offer: serrated, plain edge, blacked out, or stonewash. And you can just kind of pick your poison. That's always a great way to help support the channel. When you guys use those hyperlinks, we get a kickback, and then that allows me to go out and buy knives like this and then be able to test them so you guys can decide whether or not it's going to be worth your time. So if you are interested in this blade after this video and you like what you see, using those hyperlinks is a great way to support what we do here, and I want to thank you for using those links. So folks, there you have it. In conclusion, I got to tell you, if you're not going to chop with this knife, it's actually a fantastic knife. I love it. It just drives me insane when there are features in a knife that could have easily been removed or just honed, and then it could have taken it to the next level. And again, with that pommel of jimping and just tearing into my hand, you just can't chop with this thing at all, zero. So that's kind of your design. That's what you got to decide in the design. Is this worth having as that crossover? For me, it's not a crossover. It's not kind of like a one quiver knife, one piece kit system. I got to be able to chop with a knife of this size if I have to. It's not ideal, but if I can't do it at all and it just destroys my hand, it's not for me. So it would make, I think, a great combat knife if you're looking for a heavier duty combat knife that's in stainless steel. I think that it would be a great feature for that. But for out in the woods, for me, for this size and weight class, I need to be able to swing this thing and clear branches and do that type of stuff if need be, and I just can't with this Benchmade. So hopefully that helps you guys out. For me, it was a bittersweet. Awesome in almost every layer of design except for that back pommel and the atrocious jimping and how sharp and brutal it was on the hand. So as always, guys, thank you so much for coming over here. I really hope that this review has helped you decide, is this blade the right knife to employ in one of your systems or not? So as always, thank you so much for coming over here. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Check us out on all the relevant social media as well. That's always a great way to see what is up and coming. Talk to me if you have questions and you want to get a hold of me that way. That's another great way to do it as well. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.